Well, this isn't the kind of video that I want to make. This is something you're not going to see very often, as I don't like to get like this um, on video. But I'm just going to be straightforward here. Um, for as much as I love Hot Wheels Unleashed 1 and 2, I cannot, in any good conscience, recommend that anyone buy or play a game made by Milestone anymore. Um, this company is just a joke. Um, so I guess this is my experience with them at this point, and I just want to caution the Monster Jam people whose game is coming out relatively soon. I just want to just give you a warning now while you have a chance. Like, really, really think about what you're doing before you buy in on this. On the surface, everything is going to look great, and the games are going to look solid. Um, and but when you're in the game like, for a while, everything will start to crumble, and it starts with the developers themselves. Um, I have hundreds of hours now, uh, 461 hours on record now. 33 in the last 2 weeks. That's a lot of hours. I've played this game a lot, and more than I maybe should. But that's beside the point. I love the community. I love having my own event, and because of that, that's why I am speaking up. Milestone has done nothing to help this community at all, unless it was an absolute necessity. I don't know how else to put this. I mean, they just don't. They just don't help at all. They release a game, they pump out all the content for it, they give you the weakest patch notes you have ever seen. I mean, literally one developer teams for games that are indie and small do a better job. Roblox games do a better job with their patch notes than this company does. This company will not communicate with you, and we're at a point now where if you do try to communicate a grievance at any point in time, literally anything at all, negative, they will mute you for a week or just outright ban you entirely. And that is disgusting. I think that how are you? They clearly just don't care about making a better game. They're in it to make their money real quick and get out. And while you are there to, be profited from, everybody involved with the game and the community will treat you all nice and they'll be all friendly and you send you goofy, relevant memes in the Discord. And then the second they don't care anymore, um, they just don't. They don't give a shit about you. Hot Wheels Unleashed one. We'll just start there. There was a whole bunch of drama in the first game. A lot of it I'll just get into real quick. First things first, there was no crossplay at launch, which is odd, but not a huge deal in my opinion at first. But it was something that we really, you kind of expect to see at some point, and it did come, but only some of the platforms could play together. Steam was left on their own. Switch on both games was on their own the whole time, which I guess I get it. The Switch is kind of a weird console, and it's not as powerful, so I guess I understand. Steam Deck never worked on. I don't know if it was out on the first game. I know it didn't work for the second game. Steam on its own was just locked in the first game, in purgatory. But the thing that kills me is that when it first came out, they made a mistake, but console players could play with Steam players. And shortly after that came out, even though it wasn't really harming anything, they got rid of it. They got rid of crossplay with Steam. Didn't really elaborate why, because that is a running theme you're gonna see. Um, it just didn't. It got rid of it. It said it wasn't intended, and they got rid of it, and they never brought it back until we got to this game, and it wasn't here on launch on number 2. It did come out later. This game went backwards in a lot of ways at launch, and they were so bad that they did actually listen to us and make some changes, which was shocking. But it makes sense because when you think about it, at the time, they still had money to make, so they cared enough to fix it. Backtracking to the first game, there was some other stuff, real pain in the ass that I think you should know about. Xbox players could not play the game for in the middle of the game's life cycle for a good 2 months. Actually, I think it was just after support ended. The last expansion had come out, and for like 2 months, nothing at all. Xbox players couldn't play because of a DLC issue. And yeah, that sounds weird, I know, but that is what it was. How did we find out? Um, it wasn't the devs. Xbox players begged, and we begged, and we begged, and we begged for weeks for them to look into this, and they claimed that they were. Um, no, I don't know. I imagine they were trying in some capacity to look, but it took a community member, your boy Gore. He just one day said, "Screw it, I'm gonna figure it out," and just figured out that if you didn't have all the DLCs installed, the fewer DLCs you had installed, the more likely it was you were able to play the game. It would work for you. And then a short time after that, it got fixed. But it's like, so you're telling me a team of devs couldn't figure that out, but one dude, bored and upset that he couldn't play his game, just figured it out, and the devs couldn't figure that out? Really? That's embarrassing. The second game it's got a whole another litany of issues, and at first it seemed like they were listening to us. They would listen to our problems and they would make some fixes. Not all of them have been perfect, but they made an effort because again, they still had money to make. They had expansions to release. They wanted to make sure that people were on board until those ended. First of all, they didn't advertise the second game at all. The first game had advertisement, and so the player base is actually bigger for the first game than the second game. The second game does not have a big player base at this point. So that sucks. But this game isn't doing well at this point. It's a miracle that it was nominated for Game of the Year. But whatever. Anyway. Oh, what was I saying? Lost my train of thought. I'm just irritated. So I guess I'll just jump to the elephant in the room. This team is a nightmare to communicate with in their Discord. I mean, an absolute nightmare. Um, if you have criticisms, they have always been critical of you. You always quick to get booted if you criticize them at all. It is like they can't take an honest criticism at all. They get too freaking defensive. If you want to hear, info, they say that it's their job. The community managers say it's their job to communicate with the devs from us. You would think that they would hear back from the devs every now and then about updates for the game, and they never do. Never once. They don't ever tell us what's going on. They just say, "Oh, just stay tuned," and they think that that's just going to keep people at peace. And that only worked. That worked for a bit. It only works for so long. When you don't communicate at all for a long period of time, eventually people run out of patience and start asking for answers. Originally, there was only one Milestone member running the Discord, and this worker had a community member run the Discord. Unfortunately, they did not do a good job of vetting this person, and that person turned out to be a very, very bad person. I don't want to get into the details. If you know, you know. If you don't, just know that some very bad stuff came out about this person from a community they were in before the Hot Wheels Unleashed community server, the official one run by Milestone. I have proof of this, not just talking out my ass. Excuse my language. Um, it's very bad, and I know a lot of the people I'm talking to, at least at first, are people who know about this, but this might reach some people who don't. So I'm telling you, they didn't do a good job of vetting that person. He ran things like a dictator, and if you spoke out of line, he would use his tools to quickly feel better about his short temper. You just send you right away if you had any criticism. Well, after all this came out, and after all this came out with proof, and it took the community having an absolute freak out about it for him to step down and leave. And then at which point, Milestone never apologized to the people in the community who were harassed by this person. And I think that is disgusting. They never apologized for this. They never apologized for not properly vetting this mod and, you know, hurt some people. And that's disgusting. And that should have been a sign to look out for things. That should have been a sign to look out for the future. You know, they bring in another person to work with the communities on Discord and stuff, other PR people, community people, whatever. Her name, she goes by Alexia. Milestone team lady is just Milestone team, and then Alexia is Alexia. But she is employed by Milestone, and came in, and at first things were fine. They were all very, chatty about the second game because there's money to be made, and they're gonna seem happy and real excited, and so they were. But as we've reached the end of this game's life cycle, this game has glaring problems, and I mean a lot of them, a lot. Give me a second while I pull up some stuff. I mean, some cars are clipping. They have clipping issues. They just hit random things and crash for no reason. It's a game-breaking thing. Certain cars are literally unusable because of this. And the balancing is not good. The car balance isn't good. Certain cars are way better than others. People in our community literally did all the work for them and told them, like, literally, if you just change these values, you will make this game much better from a balance standpoint. But they can't even be bothered to do that or even acknowledge it in any way, shape, or form. So that's cool. And all we ask, for ages was just for some communication. We had one member who decided that he was going to regularly ping them, maybe a couple times a week, and ask, hey, how's that update coming along? Because they kept teasing they were going to do an update, but they never really set in stone. And that was Fidestic. Fidestic would ask, hey, are you doing an update? And they were like, we'll get back to you on that. And they did that for ages. And they started to get irritated that he would ping them. It's not like he was pinging them on Discord regularly, like every day or every hour or anything crazy. It's like maybe a couple times a week, just asking, hey, do you have an update? Well, they went to the nuclear option, and they just banned him from that chat. So he couldn't ask any more questions. And then they went, well, okay, so then the community, our community, started to get upset about that because we thought that's uncool. He's just asking a question. So we started to say stuff like free Fidestic. Not, just basically saying that we stand by what he was trying to do. They retaliated by changing all their rules. And now it is basically set up so that if you have anything negative to say about the game in any capacity, they will either ban you outright or they will mute you because they do not want to hear your criticism. They do not care. They have made their money. They don't care about you anymore. They don't. They don't care about you anymore. So we've had multiple people try multiple different approaches. We've had people try, people have been angry. People have pointed out all the ways that Milestone has failed us, and then point out that literally all we're asking for is some simple communication. They can't do that. They refuse to do that. They will actually actively fight to make sure that they don't have to communicate with you at all. So people try and pointing out all their flaws and say that we're just asking for one thing, and those people get banned. Um, and then they'll use excuses like language. People will comb over the message, make sure there's nothing wrong with it. Keep posting, trying to get the message to them. No dice, banned every time. You try a different approach from like a genuine like, look, we're not asking for anything crazy. Okay, we just want communication. We tried some different approaches. We really did. I mean, um, just people were like, is this really how you guys want to treat your community? That's it's not okay. Like we're hoping for better. We point out like we care because we like the game. We want the game to be better, but they didn't really care about that. So people, even no matter how civil you try to talk to them, at the end of the day, they don't care. They will just ban you outright, send you out the door packing. You'll be timed out. You'll be booted, sent packing because they just do not care about you. Which is just wonderful. Like great. If you try to be civil about it, they still don't want to hear your criticism. But because you weren't rude, they just time me out for a week. So me and a couple other people who tried to use emotion to be like, look, please, like we do all this. For me, my post went something along the lines of, I've done a lot for this community. I run events here and with the Bread Bowl, and through that event, we have donated money to charity. Over probably not a whole lot, like $100, but charity nonetheless. And I take great pride in that. I like the community I've made on Twitch and YouTube by doing stuff with this game. I'm not making money from any of this. I'm literally just doing all this because I can. I don't make a dime. Obviously, I have like 50 subscribers on YouTube. Like, I'm not making money here. We do this from the good of our heart because we love the game and we love our communities. And their response is delete it. They don't care. I told them, in my message, I ended it with, deleting messages is just part of the issue. Deleting stuff like this show just how much you don't give a rip about us. And I said, that's fine, because I'd rather know the truth than be led to believe that you care. And I ended it with, but in the off chance that you do care, I think we'd love some honest answers from you, Milestone, just for once. And they can't be bothered. They don't want to speak to us. They're working on their new game. They're very active in that server. Monster Jam, the new game, been coming out for the Monster Jam. You're going to see them a lot. They're in there posting memes all the time, having a good time, getting people hyped up for this game that's not for pre-order, even though it comes out in a little over a month. You need to be wary because they care right now, but once they have your money, they don't fucking care at all. And they will not keep your game alive. They will not do anything for you. In fact, if you have criticism, they will silence you. 110% every time. It doesn't matter how nice you are about it. In some capacity, they will silence you. They will tell you to shut up. You're going to deal. Yeah, your game's got issues. We don't care what you think. We got your money. We don't care. Long story short, I'm ready to be done with this video. I am never going to own a game by Milestone again. I'm going to leave a bad review on this game. I play this game a lot. I'm going to continue to play it because I've already spent the money. And I love this community. And I'm going to continue to be a part of it. That being said, I encourage... excuse me. I don't encourage anybody to spend any money on this company. Excuse me, my voice is giving out a little bit. You see any of these games, these ride games, MotoGP, Motocross, whatever, Supercross, another Monster Jam game. It's not out yet, but it's their next game, and you will find it. It's coming. Avoid these games. Don't get it. Don't fall for it. They're gonna act all cool. It's gonna look great. All the trailers are gonna look great. Everything's gonna look great. At first you're gonna play the game. You're like, oh yeah, this is good. It's not good. You're going to realize real quick that it's not good. There's going to be issues, and they're never going to get fixed unless they're truly game breaking, and no one can play the game. And even then, there are no guarantees. It's just a cautionary tale to you. Disappointed to be muted for 7 days for trying to pour my heart out and explain to people why we just want a little communication. They couldn't be bothered to do that, so here I am telling people, don't buy games from Milestone SRL. Don't do it. It's a trap. They don't care about you at all. Go find an indie game. I guarantee it'll be better. You can find games on Roblox that are better. That's all for me. Farewell.